All right, so this is the video right over here. Stan Lee exploitation documentary is crazy. So I believe it was yesterday that I saw a person online. I think Gary highlighted it, and it was basically a guy saying that he was Stan Lee's assistant for the last couple of years of his life, and he's gone through like a bunch of elder abuse and stuff like that. So this is a video of Moist talking about it. So let's go and hear what he has to say.
Today, a Kickstarter project was launched as well as a trailer dropping about the final years of Stan Lee's life and the elder abuse he was allegedly victim of. It's a subject I've talked about from time to time on the channel. A few years ago, I even made a video covering the exploitation of his legacy for the sake of shilling NFTs. That one was particularly...
I didn't even know that happened. That's crazy. That's crazy. I didn't even know that shit happened. What the hell? NFT after he died? What? Look, the thing is that like the Marvel game that I work on, they basically one of my friends, he tried to do a Stan Lee like loading screen, right? It's sort of like a tribute because he just died like not too long ago, and then my coworker, he drew like a basically a commemorative illustration that he wanted to use as a loading screen. The art director was like, no. And he's like, could you run this by Marvel and ask? And he said, no. Right? And the reason why I think my art director at that time, the art director's no longer there. I think the reason why he said no is because it was an ego thing. It's because like, if he didn't pitch the idea, he does not want the idea to be pitched to Marvel. I think that's the reason. Is the reason why it didn't happen. But that I digress. It doesn't have anything to do with this video.
Particularly evil, basically saying, you gotta put all your money into these NFTs. It's what Stan Lee would have wanted. Excelsior, am I right? You don't want to disappoint Stan Lee. Get our NFTs. It's shameful. And there were allegations of elder abuse in the later life of Stan Lee for a long time. And now today, this documentary has popped up from someone named John Bolerjack, who was a former assistant to Stan Lee, who's claiming he's had tons and tons of video evidence and footage of numerous times Stan Lee was taken advantage of, and now he's putting it all together for this documentary called Stan Lee: The Final Chapter, and he's launched the Kickstarter campaign looking for $300,000 to finish it.
Okay. So I heard about this Kickstarter. I didn't hear how much, and I didn't know he had this. He had footages that we haven't seen. In my opinion, there could be two things. It could be like a very sensitive thing where Stan Lee's family doesn't want this to be public, or he could be exploiting it and using this to make money, right? I did watch The Nooner earlier today with Gary and Bolerjack was on there, and same thing with Chris Gore. And Chris Gore said that what it could sound like is you are exploiting this for money. He said, no, I didn't. And he said that he did watch Moist's video. So I didn't watch Moist's video. So this is my first time seeing this. But it can come off that way. We're not sure what it is. And according to what's it called again? Chris Gore, he basically said like 300, I believe he said 300 or $400,000 is like your minimum base just to get you a documentary. Because we watched Attack of the Doc, right? So we watched that, and that was an amazing one, and I loved it. But for this one, it's we're not sure. But the thing is, I would take all the money that he gets to, I guess, quote unquote, release this. It needs to, like, I agree with Chris Gore, it needs to go to a nonprofit and like elder abuse or some shit like that. The reason why for me it feels it could be in the gray area is because he had these clips or these this thing or this bunch of footage that he has, and he had it for a while.
I'm going to go ahead and give you my thoughts right off rip before we even get into the trailer, as well as like a clip that dropped from it. To me, that feels really exploitative as well. You're telling me you've had this footage for years, incriminating evidence of Stan Lee being taken advantage of, and instead of releasing it throughout the years to spread the word about the injustice he faced or giving it to authorities about potential elder abuse, you've instead just sat on it, keegling it until now, compiling it into this documentary that you're now looking for $300,000 to finish. to pay for things like casting, wardrobe.
The overwhelming majority of the funds raised will support the production of our film. While our goal is the minimum we need to complete the project, anything above that will go towards making the film much better. Also, we would love to compensate some of our crew who have been volunteering their times over the years. Our production and post-production cost, paying our crew, feeding them, equipment rental, soundstage space, set construction, casting, wardrobe, hair, makeup. Are you like reenacting? Like, why do you need casting like that? Like, I thought this was like a bunch of raw footage you're putting together, right? Like, because if it's like, what kind of like, are you reenacting it? Like that is that the reason why? Right? Music composition, visual effects, color correction, sound design effects, and mixing, song clearances, content clearances, and legal fees. Now, I'm actually really happy that that Gary brought on because what's it called again? Gary's very good friends with Chris. I'm friends with Chris and Gary. I've been to Gary's house. I had lunch and dinner with what's it called again? With Chris and Gary on numerous occasions. Chris is pretty damn straightforward. He's an open book. If you ask him about anything in terms of like making films and movies and shit like that, he will tell you straight up how to do it, how to get money. He will tell you how to get the same talent agent as Tom Hanks, which is pretty wild. Like, Chris Gore is he's an open book when it comes down to making film. So he did say that minimum is about $300,000. So we need to see like I didn't get to, like I said, I didn't watch the entire Nooner today. I do probably need to go back and see it, but hopefully like Chris and Gary somehow like say something like to make sure that like look like, because it can sound exploitative. Right. The thing is that, why didn't you release this earlier? I believe he said that he tried to, but there's a lot of walls or something like that. So I want to know what were those reasons why you couldn't release this earlier when Stan was still alive, because Stan is, unfortunately, he's gone. So what can you do? Chris Gore, yeah. Right. What can you do? Right. He's gone now. Like, you are the one who's sort of doing this. Why didn't did you go to like the Stan Lee like estate, like to his family or his kids or something like that to see what, like, show this information to them too. Ask them if it was okay to make a documentary to expose this kind of stuff, right? But the thing is that it's like, he held it for a couple of years. That's the only thing that I am a little bit worried about.
Hair and makeup, music composition, a soundstage space, visual effects, like, what the fuck? If the goal is justice for Stan Lee, this feels highly unnecessary. I don't think you need a visual effects department on standby to cook up some CGI for it, you know? Like, you don't need Blur Animation Studio on the horn to do some kind of 3D render of like a reenactment scene or something. If you've got all of this incriminating evidence, it feels a little weird to be asking $300,000 from people to crowdfund a pretty bow to put on all of this. And like,
Gary and Chris both told him that any excess funds should go towards a charity that addresses elderly abuse. Yeah, right. All you need is the minimum, and if that is the minimum for him, for that guy to get the documentary done, like he is doing like a GoFundMe, like it's basically be crowdfunded, but like it just sounds like it, you know, like, of course, like making a documentary, making a film takes a while, right? It took Chris and the people at Film Threat to do the Attack of the Doc. It took them a couple years to do it. It's because they have to go talk to a bunch of people from G4, Attack of the Show, like all that kind of stuff, and then to make a video. And it was during COVID, so I'm not sure.
Elevate it to like a Hollywood production where they want a set constructor, like they want to build a set, like I don't know if they want to like recreate Stanley's home one to one or something. That's
the weird thing. It's like, are you reenacting
as well as like a sound stage? Like what? Like you refuse to release the footage unless everything, like all the testimonials, can be filmed on like a Blackmagic Pro 45K camera or something. Like I don't really understand it. To me, Feels like it's also capitalizing off of Stan Lee's name, but this time from a different angle where it's highlighting all of the other people who also exploited Stan Lee in a different way. I'll show you the trailer, and you can obviously form your own fucking thoughts on it, but there's a couple things I want to talk about as well as showing you that clip that dropped.
My name is John Bolerjack, and for the last 4 years of Stan Lee's life, I was his assistant, his confidant, but most importantly, his friend. I traveled the world with him, witnessing firsthand the incredible highs of his legendary career, but also the heartbreaking lows.
John Bolerjack was someone that was close to Stan Lee, and he has filmed a ton of things around him and the people around him as well. So a lot of the footage is basically showcasing how people interacted with Stan Lee, those closest to him, and how they viewed him as kind of like a tool to make money off of.
Yeah, like I saw the entire trailer to the Stan Lee documentary, and it's pretty fucked up. And the thing is that they do manipulate and use the elderly for money and stuff like that. And it's not like the fact that like if it can happen to Stan Lee, like it can happen to anyone, man. That's freaking crazy. And it's like it's not like they're physically hurting him, but they're like abusing him mentally. And it's like, hey, just sign a couple more things, right? And I heard that like Chris Gore met him before on numerous occasions, and he's the one who's basically like the spry one. It's like, all right, let's get this done, right? So, and he did say that like he was Stan Lee has like a hard of hearing, so you actually need to like turn to his good ear and like talk to him. So yeah, this is crazy, man.
I'll play the rest of the trailer in a moment, but I want to show you this clip because I think this clip is a really interesting look at not only John, but a lot of what Stan Lee was subjected to.
Thank you very much, sir. My pleasure. He sits on his ETV.
Are you ready to give a riveting speech? You're going to change lives.
I thought I was finished with that. What do I have to do now?
You're never over.
I'm not on the crazy pills, right? Like, I'm not boofing stupid potion, right? That's John Bolerjack that's saying that to him.
Yeah, it sounds like that,
You can see his hair, his voice is the same. That's John. And he's the one telling him that it's never over. Like, John, I'm assuming he was trying to be, like, sarcastic there, but John, even at the time, was privy to Stan Lee being taken advantage of, but just sat by and let it continue and let all of those people around him continue to exploit him. To me, it feels really weird. You've got all of this footage, you are aware of these things happening where he's being taken advantage of, and instead of sharing that footage at the time or contacting someone to try and help, he just lets it persist and then holds on to this footage for years after.
Yeah, I think that this is unfortunate pause, but I think that like he should probably I'm not sure if Bolerjack has reached out to Moist and talk about it with him, and he's like, oh, but the thing is like he did say that they're like I think someone said in the chat, I think it was Irish Jedi said that like they could have like this guy could have gotten sued. We're not 100% sure whether or not that's credible, but it can, you know. Maybe he's like, oh, I got to make sure I have all the fucking I's are dotted and the T's are crossed. Make sure I have everything ready, and then I can release this bombshell, right? I know that like it's sort of like this content nuke or something like that, right? For a lack of a better term that he could use. But yeah, it is weird that like, why did he wait this long? Because he, like, passed away like more than 6 years ago, right? Like it's been a while, so why didn't you release it earlier? Right? You could just, if you really thought that it was that important, you could just leak it to like a fucking like a newspaper company, like a fucking I don't know, like Fox News or New York Post or freaking even like Vanity Fair or Forbes. You could have leaked it to anonymous tip. Here's a bunch of videos, right? But you can't really be like anonymous tip since you're the one who's filming. So like I'm not sure. It just sounds sus.
After his death, like I don't know, it just doesn't feel right to me. Like it feels off. And he also has something else that I found pretty mean-spirited to say to Stan at the end of this clip.
You what?
I I said I thought I was finished, but apparently I'm not.
Once we're done, we'll get out of here.
Now,
See,
what do I do?
that guy is like,
Same thing. Talk about you. We'll make this some new questions.
But I don't have the.
Yes, you will. Yes.
you can tell like he wants to just go home and relax.
You get your money's worth out of me.
Every single penny.
Penny, like 5 pennies.
So this guy telling Stan Lee what he's going to do, even without Stan Lee really knowing and really wanting to,
It's like his
he's still
handlers.
pushing Stan Lee to do it. And then Stan Lee says, "You get your money's worth out of me," and he says, "Every penny." And then John Bolerjack comes in and says, "Pennies, like 5 pennies." That's just kind of mean. Like,
So on the Nooner, he said that he was being sued because his footage was for a show that he pitched to Stan Lee, and someone that claimed to own half of the rights was suing him not to release it. Right? Is that Alan from Film Threat? No, man, that guy's way too dark. That's a Filipino. That's a Filipino or some dark dude. All right, he could be Hawaiian. All right, or freaking Polynesian. We're not sure. But yeah, if he was getting sued, then yeah, I can see him why he can't release it. Like, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what the reason is why he's releasing it if he's getting sued now. Right? Is he still gonna get sued? Right? I'm not sure if there's some kind of like statute. Like, I'm pretty retarded when it comes down to like laws and shit like that. When it comes to this kind of stuff, like statutes of limitation, or I don't know.
I don't know what the joke was supposed to be there. I don't know why he would come in at the end and say that on the back of that after we just watched Stan Lee get pushed to do something he wasn't aware of and not wanting to do by somebody who's basically controlling his appearance here. It just rubs me the wrong way.
Stan spent his final years enduring mistreatment, manipulation, and betrayal at the hands of a few very bad actors.
So that guy. Oh, never mind. He looks like Mexican.
San Francisco thing.
Asian
What do you
Mexican.
feel we gotta do it? Gotta do it.
Mexican.
At the time, I didn't have the power to stop it, but I did have a camera and I filmed everything.
Whoa, watch out!
It's extremely sad watching this.
Yeah,
Elder
it
abuse
is.
is a fucking
That's really
horrid
sad, man.
thing. And John claims
You
that
think
at
he
the
won in
time he
court?
didn't
Yeah.
have the power to stop it, but he had a camera, so he filmed everything. Well, you were compiling evidence. You could have submitted that evidence to authorities, and there's a very real chance nothing would have come from it. Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of like really evil people that would have been able to squeak their way out of it, but you still would have tried. Like, you did have the ability to have this footage come to light. You could have released this footage yourself online. Like,
Yeah.
there were a ton of options with this footage outside of
Like he could have basically just dropped it on YouTube. Right? If he dropped it on YouTube, but the thing is that, like, let's say if that person that was suing him, he could do like a copyright strike or something like that, or claim it or something like that. Like, he could have dropped it on. Like, I'm not sure, like, because this was back when like Jack Dorsey still owned Twitter, so he probably, I don't know, man. Someone mentions like, oh, how could I trust Legacy Media? Legacy Media loves Stan Lee. Everyone loves Stan Lee. There's not one person that I know that hates Stan Lee, unless maybe I don't know, Jack Kirby or something like that. He tried, yeah. So like, we're not sure, but I need to, yeah. If there's more stuff that came out from the Nooner, I need to go back and watch it.
just now bringing it to the public's attention while asking for money to finish a movie around that footage. Like, I understand there have been many cases where a documentary has been instrumental in justice for whatever case it's been covering, but I just can't understand why during all of the discussions around is Stan Lee being abused by the people closest to him, there was even a lawsuit about elder abuse and Stan Lee. During all of this, and it did get a ton of attention, why John Bolerjack with his footage wouldn't have come forward to contribute to that discussion with evidence that, yes, Stan Lee is being taken advantage of. Yes, there are people close to Stan Lee doing things that he doesn't want to do or know that he's doing. Like, I don't understand why back then, with all of the footage he had, he wouldn't have spoke up during those times. It just feels weird that he's had it for so long and is now just bringing it to the public during a Kickstarter pitch.
Now I'm asking for your help. to finish the film and finally get justice for Stan. This documentary includes first-hand accounts from key witnesses, including comic book legends like Rob Liefeld and Roy Thomas, as well as many others who saw the chaos and unethical acts. This isn't speculation, it's all on camera. Undeniable.
This is old Stan Lee coming at you. No, you're not old.
Irrefutable.
I thought I was finished, but apparently I'm not.
No ambiguity.
I think it's pretty clear from industry veterans that have talked about it to the footage that already exists outside of this documentary, since this hasn't released, so we don't know all the footage in it, that we can say with a pretty high level of confidence Stan Lee was taken advantage of in the later years of his life by tons of people around him.
Yep.
I think that much is pretty clear in my opinion, and I have no doubt that whatever footage John has here will be really helpful in holding a lot of those evil assholes that were exploiting him accountable. Like, I'm hoping that there will be a lot of good that comes from it. But this approach of just squatting on the footage for many years and then only like bringing it out if enough money is given to finish the film is very off-putting. And like looking at the Kickstarter rewards feels really weird.
Wait,
too.
rewards?
Let me just hold your hand through what $50 gets you in the project. A stunning photo comic capturing rare candid moments of Stan Lee like you've never seen before. Shot by filmmaker Jonathan Boulderjack, this collection offers an...
Okay, now this is weird. Why would you offer a reward? It's like, I don't know, I never use Kickstarter, but like maybe to incentivize people to pitch in. But this is sort of weird. Like the goal is like, hey, we need this much money to fund this movie, this film. All right, and maybe you can get like early access like to the film. I don't know, a signed copy of like a physical version of the film.
An intimate look at the legend's life beyond the spotlight, featuring 11 different covers, each showcasing a hand-picked image curated by its respective sponsor. Every book comes signed by Boulderjack, making it a must-have for true fans of Stan and his legacy. What? So each copy is signed by John, which means it's a must-have if you love Stan Lee. Where have we heard that nomenclature before? Spoiler alert. It's the NFTs that were shilled on Stan Lee's Twitter page a few years back. There are so many reward tiers here, more than I've ever seen in a Kickstarter project. I shit you not, I think there's close to like 40 or 50 different reward tiers. It's crazy. Like, here's one for $500 where you get basically a CGC slabbed Stan Lee image. Like, it seems like the reward system is all
like if it was like hand signed by like Stan Lee before he died, then yeah, I can see why it's that expensive, right? But like, oh, like a candid photo that I took of Stan Lee that is graded for $500?
about incentivizing collectors. Like, every reward tier has some kind of element that hypes up the collecting appeal of the reward tier for the Kickstarter. Like, it's very, again, weird. Here's another option for $500 tier where you can get a tour through Los Angeles with John, where you'll visit places where bribes were offered, schemes were plotted, and millions went missing, stories that have never been told till now.
You could completely make this shit up. Look, this guy could be 100%, this could be 100% true. Like, this could be 100% like real. Like, he's not bullshitting. But let's say if like I took a picture with like someone and like I you know, and it's like how would you 100% know, like, oh, Stan Lee, he's in that corner by that building. Yeah, there's a yellow fire hydrant and there's a little like gum, like an old chewed up gum that's stuck to the ground. Yes, that's Stan Lee's gum. He spit that out. That was his last chewing gum he ever ate. You know, he ever chewed on. It's like, you won't know if it's real. This is like, oh, you're going to get a tour of Stan Lee's Los Angeles tour with a director. It's like, you won't know whether this is true or not, right? This could be all made up, or it could be real. I don't know, but this is weird.
where you'll visit places where
$500.
bribes were offered, schemes were plotted, and millions went missing, stories that have never been told till now. What? So he'll take you on a tour of places where Stan Lee was exploited for $500. He'll take you on the Los Angeles tour of Stan Lee being taken advantage of. I just don't know how that can be perceived as anything other than slimy. It's basically reducing the elder abuse Stan Lee suffered to a tour for you to go on for $500 with this guy who's treating it like it's some kind of like attraction.
Yeah, it's like yo, for $500 you can take the Warner Brothers backlot studio tour, right? It's not even $500. It's like $80, right? But this is like you're hearing a guy that used to be his assistant saying that he got exploited at that Starbucks. I was there. I took footage. This is the footage right over here. And that, like, you got to show me the footage or where look, I would have been like, okay, we're not sure if this guy is for real, but like these tiers that has like 20 to 30 like milestones, that sounds very exploitative. Okay. Like that, like for me, you probably shouldn't have done any. If you did, like, oh, here's, if you get $10, $20, or maybe $50 max, right? Here's like a bunch of like actual photos I have, candid photos, one of a kind or some shit. Like, I don't know, man. That guided tour was crazy.
Like, it's just so not okay, I feel. For $8,000, you get an invite to the Emmys and the governor's ball. All right. Like, it goes on and on. Like, I'm not kidding. Like 40 different reward tiers is an understatement. I think there's probably closer to like 60 or 70 different tiers of Kickstarter rewards.
$300,000 donation. $300,000. If one person donates $300,000 to me, I will drop the documentary right now. $8,000 for an Emmy tour. Let's go back to this. Primetime Emmy Awards at Governor Ball. Attend one of the most exclusive Hollywood events of the year. You will be a guest of the executive producer of the documentary to the 70th. So basically, if you get this, there's only one. There's only one person that does not include travel or lodging to LA. Ships to anywhere in the world. Delivery by September 2025. Quantity limited, left out of one. So basically, you're going to go to the Emmys for free. But it's actually $8,000. You go to the Emmys for $8,000. And this guy is not even going to go. The executive producer is probably not even going to go to this, man. Yo, just please, no one getting chat. Don't buy this. Don't buy this. Holy shit, man, this is crazy.
An understatement. I think there's probably closer to like 60 or 70 different tiers of Kickstarter rewards here.
With your help, we can finish the film, expose the truth, and give Stan the justice he deserves.
As I mentioned, this footage that he has most likely will showcase a lot of the horrible things people have done to Stan Lee, and many times he was taken advantage of. But I don't feel like the goal of this film is to get justice for Stan Lee. It looks very different when you actually go through the page, all the rewards, all of the things that the money is going towards, and also when you remember the fact that he's had this footage for so long and is now just bringing it out for a Kickstarter pitch. I find it very weird. But anyway, I just wanted to talk about it. That's it. See ya.
All right. So after all of that, like I said, I haven't watched the entire Nooner. I was taking care of my son, and I was getting food and stuff like that, and I was also working. But with that, I need to see what like what's gonna happen, right? I didn't watch the entire Nooner. I didn't hear that guy's side. All I heard that it was a part of what's it called? It's gonna be $300,000. Chris said that's gonna cost you a minimum of $300,000 to make it. And then he said that anything after that, so it doesn't look exploitative. They actually said it, like, so you don't look bad. That like your act is actually going towards a good cause. Anything extra will go towards, elder abuse, right? Some kind of charity. But bro, $8,000 for an Emmy, like not even like you're gonna go to the Emmys, not even the Oscars, the Emmys, right? The shittier version of the Oscars, right? At least you go to the Oscars, someone might get slapped, all right? Some crazy shit might happen at the Oscars. You might see a boob, but the Emmys is like not as cool. So the thing is, like, I hope like Chris and like Gary like really like vetted this guy. Like I need to go, like I said, I need to go back and watch it. Because this is like very like I would say like not dangerous, but like it's sort of like it's like this guy is like using Gary. Like if he is, let's say if this guy is, right? I'm not sure if this is happening. Let's say if he is using Gary's platform to promote this stuff, knowing that Gary is like the top, like I guess in terms of like our sector, like of streaming, like he's one of the tops, right? You have him, you have a Drinker, and like people who are in the millions, right? Like it's like they're pretty much up there. So Gary has probably like the biggest voice. He's been on TV before. Like he's been on like Gary's been on like he's been on Unsubscribed. He's been on Tim Pool. So like Gary's pretty well known. So I hope that this guy is like real. He's a good, he's in good faith and he actually does want to get the shit out. It's just his rewards are very sus. That's the only thing. It's very fucking sus, man. Yeah, Gary and Chris have met Stanley on numerous occasions. Yeah. The thing is that like everyone loves Stan Lee. There's not a person I know in my personal life that hates him. Right? It's just like, oh, he created Spider-Man. Well, actually him and Jack Kirby, actually him, it's sort of like they work together. People were like, oh, Stan Lee actually, stole a lot of stuff. Like I don't know too much backstory on that. But in terms of what I know, Stan Lee is universally beloved. I just hope that that this guy, he is good actor. You know what? I'm just gonna fucking drop it. Like I'm pretty sure he has the film like ready to go. All he needs to do is fucking just like piece them together in Premiere. That's it. He can bro can hire like Perry Chan and like fucking get that shit done in like 2 to 3 days. Like, hey, I need an editor. Oh, I look, hire Perry Chan. Perry Chan, Gary's editor, one of Gary's editor, can edit that shit for you. I would say like a week's tops. Get that shit out. If you're in good faith, you want the shit to be out as soon as possible. Right? You want the shit to be out as soon as possible. So if that's the case, then I just hope this guy is real. That's it. I just, like I said, the rewards are super sus. $50, $500, $8,000. It's like that looks really sus, like freaking sus as hell, man. But yeah, I do get it. Like because all I saw was what Gary posted on here's a link. There it is. All I saw was what Gary reposted on X, right? And I saw a little bit of the Nooner because it said he will be on the Nooner tomorrow. So I was like, oh shit, let's hear it, right? And I didn't watch Charlie's thing, and I believe Charlie's thing came out before the Nooner. How long has this video been out? Oh, since yesterday. So like yeah, so he put it out yesterday. So it's been out for like about 24 hours now. Holding footage hostage for money. Yeah, that's weird. That's super weird, right? When he said, "I thought I was finished," it actually broke my heart. Yeah, it like that was crazy, man. What kind of sociopath paywalls evidence of abuse? I can't imagine how Stan Lee's loved ones must feel right now, knowing that somebody not only had evidence that might have prevented Stan's exploitation, but now they're actively trying to profit off of it. I don't know how heartless of a person you have to be to hide footage of elder abuse beyond a paywall. Bro was low on money, thought he had a yard sale, but instead found his box of Stan Lee's elder abuse tapes. The fact that it was recording for 3 years was part of the exploitation, in my opinion. He knew at some point that he will use his footage for profit. So basically, he's saying, I have incriminating evidence of abuse of a beloved man. You have to pay me to release it. Yeah, it sounds really bad. Like especially if you put it this way, right over here. Like this is the optics on this is just, it does not look good. It does not look good. Like for me, like you can't really blame Gary or Chris for that. Is because because they're just seeing it as like how everyone else saw it, right? Like it's just like they probably saw the Kickstarter and then like they watched the video, they read the description and the summary. Like I'm not sure if they scrolled down and saw the reward tiers. I think that's probably what didn't happen. And they're like, okay, let's bring this guy on to see. And the thing is that like I'm pretty sure like Chris basically like I'm not sure how like much he interrogated the guy to see if this guy is real. But like if this guy keeps any money, it is in my opinion a very, very bad thing. All right, all the supervillains were right. The hero is only needed until he's not, and then he's thrown away. This is someone filming himself kicking a dog, then posting the video, claiming to be exposing an animal abuser and asking people to raise money to stop animal abuse by funding his documentary. Oh shit, man. This is crazy. But yeah, bro, release the Snyder Cut. Release the Snyder Cut. Everyone's asking for it. If you have good faith and you're good-hearted, you're not trying to exploit this, you're not trying to get money off of this, release the Snyder Cut. If you need help finishing it, then yeah, but remove all those tier freaking like Emmy bullshit, the $500 bullshit, you know, the signed copy of not Stan Lee, but you, the director, of a candid photo of Stan Lee. Don't show that shit. Like, just stop. Get rid of all the tier rewards. Give actual, like, legit stuff that people want. And then, just, like, after the $300,000 has been met, just release it. And any extra money, let's say you overshot your goal by, like, 300%. That shit goes towards, like, elder abuse. Like, that. And the thing is that it will show. Because if you don't show... Chat, if you guys don't know, whenever you donate to a charity and shit like that, that's a tax write-off, and and I believe it also shows whether or not you did it, which is crazy. So yeah, it's good that what's it called again? Charlie called this out. He does have a lot of very, very good points. As of right now, I'm on the side of that dude sounds sus. He's suspicious. I need to hear more about what's going on. I need to go back to watch the Nooner with Chris Gore and Gary earlier today, and to sort of just piece everything together so I can fully get and grasp the entirety of what's happening. It's because if I'm only hearing from Charlie's side and I'm not hearing from what Gary and Chris uncovered about a bowler jack, I can't have a full understanding of what's happening. So I actually need to check it out.